Rippon's a place. It's a farm. It's its own farm entity. We look at it as an individual with its own identity. It's all on schist. Central Otago is sitting on the largest block of schist in the country. But it gets moved around by our region by several different means. And for us, the first is the moraines, which is the hill the escarpment slope is a moraine. So it's the terminus of the ancient glacier, where all of the glaciers reject the tongue out the tongue of the glacier, ejected a whole big moraine wall essentially in the valley. And that moraine wall impounded all the water behind it and created the lake. That's where all the southern lakes are formed, through moraine walls, the ancient glaciation. And then into that lake was thrown an ejection cone of schist gravels. And this was, as opposed to where the moraines are, they're very heterogeneous deposit site. The big bus-sized blocks of schist all the way down to glacial meal, the dust essentially, because ice is very powerful. It can bring lots of different particle sizes and put them in the same deposit site. Whereas water, liquid water, is much more homogeneous in its particle size. It's the same power that's bringing it, and it rounds things off. So this is a bit of Tinker's Field here. It's the ejection cone of schist gravels that come out through and into the lake. So ejection cone is like a delta, but it's not a delta of alluvial stuff. It is alluvial, but it's very coarse schist gravels. It's a waterfall creek that does come down the side of our the hill next to us. It comes down and has spat essentially, or ejected a lot of deposit site, much more homogeneous deposit site. They're all platelet-sized bits of rock stacked on top of each other. Pure schist. It's washed as it's happening as well. And then as that ejection cone is being formed, Tinker's Field is being formed, the lake is changing height. So you've got ancient lake bed clay lenses running laterally through that. Very fine blue clays. This is Emma's block. Our three principal terroir is moraines, all in schist, but moraines, pure schist gravels, and schist gravels with clay. The original plantings were on Tinker's Field. So 1975 we started experimenting, Rolf and Lois started experimenting there with lots of different cultivars, vitis vinifera directly into the ground, remembering that vinifera is very, very fine articulate root hairs. It's an extremely tortuous path through this stuff. You can imagine it's stacked on top of each like this. Water doesn't stack rock like that, it stacks it flat. So you can just imagine platelet-sized bits of rock like this, and so to get through it, every metre it goes down, it has to probably travel in 2 or 3 times that distance to get the same vertical descent. And very, very fine and articulate root hairs that were vinifera evolved on this stuff to get through that. So that's going from one island to the other. It's essentially going